What are reasons to get divorced? Divorce is not something that you should just walk into lightly. And so I often recommend to people that before you get divorced, you've tried couples counseling or therapy and whatever it is you need to do to make sure that this is the decision you want to make, because it's permanent. And that's the reason why there's a cooling off period in Texas of 60 days. The court wants to make sure, look, this is really what you want, but there are instances where your relationship just isn't going to recover. For example, maybe there's a case of adultery. Some people can get over it. Most people probably can't. And so it's not going to get better. And so in that case, I would say that you need a divorce. There is no legal separation in Texas. And so when you are tied with someone who is making decisions that you don't agree with, they're irrational, they're doing things that could be harmful, whether it's financially, emotionally, and stuff, you need to separate yourself from that situation. So because there's no legal separation in Texas, if someone's out there and they're buying a boat, they're taking trips around the world, they're spending frivolously, they're gambling all of the money away, you need to say, stop, wait, pause, stop. I can't keep going on like this. And so once you file, it kind of puts a freeze on those activities because they're just going to drag you down with them. There's no legal separation, so you're going to be liable for the things that they're doing. And so if you're married to someone who, just for liability purposes, you can't be connected with, it's time to call it quits. Some people will stay together for the children, and that's not good. What you're teaching them is what they should stay through, what they should suffer through, what they should endure. And it's not always the best practice for them, maybe mentally, physically, emotionally. And so you're the example. And so I think that if you are contemplating a divorce, there's a reason you're contemplating that. And you just got to weigh out, is this the type of life I would want my children to lead? Reasons not to get divorced, I would say one fight, an argument is nothing to just destroy the whole relationship over, right? It's something that maybe you could work through. If you haven't gone to counseling yet and tried other things, I would always recommend that you take those steps before you make the serious decision of getting divorced. A lot of people are afraid with how it's going to impact custody once you get divorced. And I don't want to share Christmases. Well, you're going to have to. And so, think about, okay, is this fight really that serious, or are we just mad at each other and we need some time? Alternatives to divorce in Texas, there are a few. You can go to counseling, you can go to therapy, you can do the couples retreat. There is no legal separation in Texas. And so despite what you may have heard, it just doesn't exist. You are married. And that means that you are financially tied. The decisions that they're making are going to impact you. I've had people come to me and it's like, oh my gosh, we haven't seen each other in, 2 years. I don't know what's going on in their lives. And well, if they took out a whole bunch of debt, took out loans and stuff, you're responsible for it. So I wish that you knew what was going on in their life because you're still on the hook. When you are going through a divorce, some big things to know is just the timeline. You're going to first file the petition for divorce. That's the document that goes before the court that says, hey, we're asking the court for something. I'm asking the court to help me get divorced. I'm asking the court for custody of the kids. I'm asking the court for half of the assets. I'm asking the court for my last name back. So you just kind of lay out that in your petition for divorce. And then 60 days later, the court can do what's called a final divorce decree, and that's the order that's going to get you divorced. In between there, a lot can happen. All of a sudden, the opposing party is putting holes in the wall. Well, now I need an emergency, temporary restraining order to prevent these actions from happening. Maybe there's not holes in the wall, but maybe we just can't agree on, who gets the child on what weekends. Okay, well, now I just need temporary orders where the court's going to say what's going to happen while this case is pending. That can be a hearing. It's really quick. It's like an hour long. Each side gets 20 minutes to present their case, and then the judge is going to come in for the last 20 minutes and give you the ruling and what the judge has decided. But that's just 20 minutes to hear the most important facts of your life at that moment. And so it's a lot of stress. And then before the final order is signed, you've got to get to a resolution, either through mediation, where you all have decided how everything's going to be divided and what's going to happen with custody, or by a final trial where you'll have a longer period in front of the judge, but you're laying out all the facts and the judge is making decisions about what's going to happen and what's going to go into that final divorce decree. If you have questions about things you want to think through before getting a divorce, give us a call. We're happy to help.